The wildfires ravaging the state of California are a subject that many have heard about, however, not many have knowledge of their impact on society. The ever-growing number of wildfires in California poses an astronomical risk to us as an individual, but us as a society. Extensive research was done to determine what these risks include. The wildfires in California have directly impacted society with health risks due to poor air quality, detrimental effects on vegetation and the ecosystem, and economic costs for post-fire aid. Over the past few years in California, air quality has diminished significantly. This poses a threat to public safety. There have been an extensive loss to agriculture and wildlife in various areas, and lastly, causing great financial strain in the economy due to providing aid because of the numerous wildfires. The intense smoke from these fires comes with little warning. Researchers from Triumvirate Environmental have found that smoke has traveled dozens of miles and mixed with other air pollutants in distant areas, causing higher ozone levels. Hospitalization for respiratory issues increased by 10% in Southern California when there was heavy smoke from wildfires. Though we may live far from the source of the fire, the smoke can travel so far and pose the same health risk and impact the air quality just as much as if it was here. When smoke is at lower altitudes, it can travel for a few hundred miles. However, when it reaches the higher altitudes, that's when it begins to travel for these thousands of miles. And that's when it starts to mix with other air pollutants and create those higher ozone levels. Ozone pollution can pose serious health concerns. These include coughing, throat irritation, congestion, bronchitis, emphysema, asthma, and it's even beginning to present the symptoms of COVID-19 or make them worse. There are ways to protect yourself from the impact of the air quality. These include closing windows and doors to protect air quality inside of the home, staying indoors when there is heavy smoke, and wearing a mask if you were to go outdoors to help protect against the inhalation of these smoke particles. Here we have a map showing the air quality in the state of California in July of 2019. You can see how much of the state has yellow and red dots. This is all throughout the state, but especially in Northern California. This is due to the differences in the extent of the fires. Health effects from poor air quality because of the wildfires in California may seem like a lot of impact on society already. However, this is just a fraction of the impacts they have and will have. The effects that wildfires have had on vegetation and wildlife have been both negative and positive. The negative impacts of the California wildfires include diminished areas of agriculture and habitat destruction and loss of ecosystems. The fires can cause droughts, high temperatures, and water contamination. A lot of produce comes from California. They service the rest of the nation at times. But with the fire damage, production would decline and lead to food shortages and higher prices on produce, in turn affecting the economy. Fire damage affects the water and harms wildlife that may benefit or use it, including agriculture as well. Fires force wildlife out of their habitats and increases the risk of extinction for some. On the other hand, the positive effects include some wildlife thrive in the aftermath of fires, and more population will return once they have left, or that's the hope. It also allows for a fresh start. It gets rid of overgrowth, making it easier to access water and food sources for wildlife. It also brings fresh nutrients to the soil for new vegetation to grow. Here we have a before and after picture of the most recent fire in California, the Dixie Fire. It is one of the biggest, covering 963,300 acres over 103 days. There is significant impacts on the economy that affect society as well. In an article by Grace Gadai, she says that researchers in 2020 found that during the 2018 season of California's wildfires, the estimated economic damage was $148.5 billion. It included capital costs. These include buildings and houses burning down, health costs, and indirect losses such as lost hours of work and changes in the supply chains. Many organizations, however, are nonprofit and help in this post-fire aid. After the sweep of fires across the country in 2020, over $103 million in deferral disaster assistance was disbursed to help homes and business owners recover as the number of people that lost these things increased. According to FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, more than 41,600 California residents registered for assistance, and more than $26.8 million in aid was approved. Now we have a chart depicting the costs spent on wildfires from 1979 to 2019, along with a chart showing the number of fires for those same years. As you can see, the more fires we have, the more money that is spent on helping with these wildfires and the damage that is caused. Overall, the wildfires in California have had significant effects on different aspects of our society. The poor air quality because of the intense smoke poses significant health risk for not only residents of California, but individuals across the nation, as the smoke can travel for thousands of miles. The fires have had both positive and negative impacts on the agriculture and ecosystems in California. And lastly, the financial burden that has been placed on the economy, specifically California's government, as a result of providing and after fires, has all significantly impacted society. The extensive wildfires in California have directly impacted society with health risks due to poor air quality, detrimental effects on vegetation and the ecosystem, and economic costs for post-fire aid. The wildfires ravaging California are important for not only residents of California to keep an eye out on, but the nation as a whole, as they can impact society no matter how far away we are from these fires.